The briefing room smelled like burnt circuits and disappointment. I should know. I've been Ambassador Third Class Vex for the Galactic Council for 12 rotations now, and I've never seen my superiors look quite this nervous. Let me get this straight, I said, all four of my eye stalks focusing on Commander Jor sitting across the holographic table. You want me to verify the humans' military registry database? That's what this meeting is about. Jor's face, if you could call that mess of wrinkles a face, twitched. Not exactly, Vex. We need you to find the ones who can't fight. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoed off the metal walls like someone strangling a turbine. Can't fight? Have you met humans? Half of them look like they'd lose an argument with a door. That's what we thought too. Jor slid a datapad across the table. 3 cycles ago, we asked Earth's military to provide a list of their non-combatants. Citizens who couldn't serve in combat roles. Medical exemptions, physical limitations, psychological restrictions, the usual categories. I picked up the datapad, my tentacles curling around it with practiced ease. And, read it. The document loaded. My primary eye skimmed the header. Official response from Earth Military Command regarding non-combatant registry request. I scrolled down. Then I scrolled some more. Then I reached the end. The entire document was 1 sentence long. We haven't found one yet. Still looking. I stared at Jor. This is a joke, right? Some kind of human sarcasm I'm not getting. They're famous for that. We thought so too. Jor stood up, his agitation making his voice crack. So we sent follow-up requests. 7 of them. Each one more specific than the last. We asked about their elderly, their injured, their civilians, their children, for the love of the void. And every response was the same. Sometimes they'd add a little note. One said, checked again, sorry. Another said, found a guy in a coma, but he woke up and volunteered, so back to square one. This was insane. I'd been to Earth exactly twice. Once for a cultural exchange where I watched something called a bake sale turn into a fist fight over cookie prices. The second time for a diplomatic dinner where an 80-year-old grandmother threatened to, quote, throw hands with me because I suggested her pie was merely adequate. Jor, I said slowly, are you telling me that the Galactic Council is worried because humans claim everyone in their species can fight? We're not worried. Jor's voice went up an octave. We're terrified. Do you understand what this means? The Krell have warrior castes and civilian castes. The Thorians have their soldier breeds and their worker breeds. The Xanthi have, well, the Xanthi have that whole thing with the chrysalis selection process. Yes, I know all this. Every species has non-combatants. Vex. Every single one. It's how civilization works. You have the fighters and you have everyone else. That's the natural order. That's how you build a society that doesn't collapse into perpetual warfare. I leaned back in my chair, which squeaked in protest. So you want me to go to Earth and prove they're lying? We want you to find the truth. Jor's expression softened, which somehow made him look even more unsettling. Because if they're not lying, if they really have 0 non-combatants in a population of 8 billion, then we need to completely reassess our understanding of human psychology, sociology, and threat assessment. Threat assessment, I repeated. We're allied with them. For now. The weight of those 2 words settled over the room like a wet blanket. I'd read the reports, of course. The incident at Station 12 where a human chef fought off 6 armed raiders with a cooking pan and what she called pure spite. The colony defense where human accountants held off an invasion force for 3 days using improvised weapons and, according to one report, aggressive financial planning. The famous case of Marcus Webb, a human gardener who apparently defeated an entire boarding party because, and I quote, they trampled my tomatoes and now it's personal. Fine, I said. I'll go. I'll interview their citizens. I'll check their medical facilities, their retirement homes, their schools. I'll find your non-combatants. Thank you, Vex. Jor looked genuinely relieved. The transport leaves in 6 hours. We've arranged meetings with various human demographics. Start with the medical centers. Surely their injured can't fight. I gathered my things and headed for the door. As I reached it, Jor called out one more time. Vex, be careful. And whatever you do, don't insult anyone's mother. We lost 3 ambassadors that way. I should have turned around and quit right then, but I didn't. The medical center on Earth Station 7 was clean, bright, and filled with humans in various states of recovery. I figured this would be easy. Injured beings can't fight. That's basic biology across the galaxy. Ambassador Vex. A human female approached me with alarming speed despite walking on crutches. Her leg was in some kind of stabilization device. I'm Dr. Kira Mills. Welcome to our rehabilitation wing. Thank you, Dr. Mills. I extended a tentacle for the customary greeting. I'm here to conduct some research on your patient population. Specifically, I'd like to understand your protocols for civilians with combat restrictions. Her smile never wavered. Combat restrictions? Yes. Patients who are medically unable to serve in defensive or offensive operations due to injury, illness, or permanent disability. Oh, she laughed. Actually laughed. You mean like asking who's sitting out the next fight? Precisely. Nobody. I blinked, all four eyes in sequence. I'm sorry. Nobody sits out. Come on, I'll show you. She turned and started moving down the corridor at a pace that seemed physically improbable for someone with a broken leg. I hurried to keep up. That we entered a large room filled with equipment and humans in various stages of physical therapy. One man was lifting weights with his remaining arm. Another woman was running on a treadmill despite having two prosthetic legs. A third human, covered in bandages, was practicing something called tactical breathing while balancing on one foot. This is Greg. Dr. Mills gestured to a man in a floating chair, his spine clearly damaged. Greg, tell the ambassador what you do. Greg grinned. His teeth were too white. Humans always had unsettling teeth. Long-range support specialist. Can't walk anymore, but I can sure as hell shoot straight and coordinate drone strikes. Actually got better at it since the injury. More time to focus, you know. But your mobility is irrelevant. Greg tapped his chair. This baby has more weapons systems than your average combat shuttle. Plus, being in a chair means I'm already sitting down during high-G maneuvers. No blood rushing from my head. Tactical advantage, really. Dr. Mills moved on before I could process that logic. This is Helena. Lost her hearing in an explosion last year. Helena, a middle-aged woman with scars across her face, nodded at me. She signed something with her hands. Dr. Mills translated. She says she's now a specialist in vacuum combat since sound doesn't matter in space anyway. Also learned to read vibrations through surfaces, which apparently makes her impossible to sneak up on. That's not how military exemptions work. My voice came out higher than intended. Across the galaxy, hearing loss is an automatic disqualification for combat roles. What? Helena signed. Dr. Mills translated again. Most ship battles happen in vacuum. Most tactical communication happens through visual displays or neural links. If anything, I'm less distracted now. I felt a headache forming in my primary brain. Possibly my secondary brain too. What about psychological trauma? Surely you have soldiers too mentally scarred to continue fighting. Dr. Mills' expression shifted. For the first time, she looked serious. We have support programs, yes. Therapy, medication, rehabilitation. But Ambassador? Trauma doesn't make humans unable to fight. Sometimes it makes them fight differently. Sometimes smarter. Sometimes with more caution. But unable? No, that's horrifying. That's survival. She started walking again, leading me toward another section. You want to know the real answer to your question? The thing your council is actually afraid of? Enlighten me. Humans don't have non-combatants because we don't think that way. A Krell warrior fights because that's their caste. A Thorian soldier fights because that's their breed. But a human? She stopped and turned to face me fully. A human fights when something they love is threatened. And every human loves something. We entered a room labeled pediatric rehabilitation. Small humans, children, were engaged in various activities. Playing games. Learning to walk with new prosthetics. Laughing with each other. These are children, I said. You can't possibly expect me to believe? Of course not. Dr. Mills cut me off. They're children. We don't train them to fight. We don't want them to fight. We do everything in our power to make sure they never have to fight. Relief flooded through me. Finally. So you do have non-combatants. I didn't say that. Her voice went quiet. I said we don't want them to fight. But if someone threatened these kids? If an enemy force made it past our military, past our defenses, past every adult willing to die to protect them? She paused. Those kids would pick up anything they could find and they'd fight back. Not because we taught them, but because that's what humans do when there's no other choice. I looked at the children playing. One small boy with a prosthetic arm was building something with blocks. A girl with burns across her shoulders was reading a book about spacecraft engineering. They looked innocent, harmless, vulnerable, and I realized with creeping horror that Dr. Mills was right. Your report to the council, Dr. Mills said as she walked me back to the exit. What will you tell them? I thought about Commander Jor's worried face, about the 7 follow-up requests, about the 80-year-old grandmother who'd threatened me over pie. I'll tell them the truth, I said. Humans don't have non-combatants. Not because you're all warriors, but because any human will become one if pushed far enough. Is that going to be a problem? I reached the door and turned back one last time. Dr. Mills stood there with her broken leg and her kind smile and her absolute certainty that she could fight if needed. Honestly, I said, I have no idea, but I'm definitely recommending we stay on your good side. She laughed. Smart Ambassador. See you around, Vex. The door closed behind me. I had a long report to write. Jor wasn't going to like it. The council wasn't going to like it. Nobody was going to like it, but it was the truth. Humans don't have non-combatants because every human is 3 bad decisions away from becoming their own personal army. And that, more than any weapon or warship, was why the galaxy should be very, very nervous about making them angry that I requested a transfer to a desk job the next day. Some truths are too uncomfortable to live with. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.